Ben, what's impressed you the most about Kylan in terms of where he started camp and where he is now, the way he was producing in these last couple of games?
I think the biggest thing is his overall instincts, as a runner, able to anticipate, set blocks up and understands how to go slow and accelerate, right at the right time. Plus he's really tough and has a great demeanor, as a runner, which you look for.
When it comes to Kylan tackling, obviously, or hurdling, sorry, he obviously did a lot of that at Mississippi State. Obviously, he had a great hurdle yesterday after getting up and tripping on that second down. Do you talk about the risk to that, or do you love that sort of athleticism? How do you balance that?
Well, I think the biggest thing with it is just, understand is once you go airborne, you're susceptible to other defenders if they're around. A lot of times when guys have a tendency to do that, it's just them and that one defender that's coming at them and now all of a sudden trying to tackle them low. But I just warn them, if you do that and there's a lot of other guys around, you're susceptible to a lot of punishment. But it's more of an instinctive thing. I think a lot of those guys, they just see it, react, and then move on.
Ben, I assure you this is not a fantasy football question because I hate fantasy football. But you guys have always been, willing or wanting to keep Aaron Jones's carries down. I think he's only had 4 games in his career of over 20. Does anything about that change now that you sort of got him through that first contract, or you just keep the same approach?
I think for the most part you just want to keep the same approach, with him. It's something that has worked for us, and it's something that has worked for him. But, as you know, game to game, anything can happen. You may have an idea and have, okay, here's what we want to do with him. Here's how many times we want to make sure he has the ball in his hands. But, there'll be some games you can go in with a certain idea and he'll have way more, and then there'll be other games he'll have less, But you just know that anytime the ball is in his hands, that, you got a chance and opportunity for a lot of production.
What did you think of Dexter's preseason?
I thought he had, I know we didn't have one last year, but I thought he had a great preseason, in comparison to where he was at when he first got here. I think he's made a lot of improvements, and, I've been really, really impressed with him. He's done a great job with us. He's been doing a great job on special teams. So, it's like everything has finally, come together for him.
And where is AJ as a pass catcher? I don't want to read, we've seen him have a couple drops in practice, but obviously there's more to that. How is he progressing in that part of his game?
I think he's actually has great hands. I know he's had some drops in practice, but there's other times that there's been other practices where he's made some, spectacular catches. I have a lot of times with him is when he's dropping the ball is because he's taking his eyes off the ball because he's ready to catch it, get upfield, go make something happen. So if anything, it's more of, hey man, just make sure you stay locked in and focused in on the ball before you're ready to go make a play. But his hands in general are pretty good.
For Kylan, in the regular season, what kind of role do you see him? Like a couple carries a game? Is that safe to say? Maybe every game a couple carries? Or?
It's really hard to project at this time. You just know that he's a guy that you feel very comfortable with the ball in his hands. So to project and say, hey, we need to get the ball, because there's a lot of guys on our offense that you can say those things about that need the football in their hands. And I think that he's put himself in position where he could be one of them. Obviously, especially like when you look at, some of the games that he's had going against, different defenses, top players. So it's hard to project a number because you only have so many balls that have to go around to so many different players.
Thinking back to the start of training camp, is it surprising that we're even talking about that with Kylan with you?
Not as much as you think, because watching him just throughout his college career, and really had to go back to his I think it was his 19 season. You saw different things that he could do with the ball in his hands, how aggressive he was. Going against some of the best defenses with some of the best players in college, and see him having some production and the production that he had. I'm not totally surprised by what he's doing.